guys, today's video is about the microorganism in the disease causation. Disease is a disturbance in the state of health. Microbes cause disease in the course of stealing space, nutrients, and/or living tissue from their symbiotic host. To do this, microbes do most of the following. First is gain access to the host. Then, adhere to the host, replicate on the host, invade tissue, and produce toxins or other agents that cause host harm. This figure indicates the different outcomes of an exposure to an infectious agent. Let's go to the biology characteristic of infectious agents. First is the infectivity. It is the ability to infect a host. Second is the pathogenicity, the ability to cause disease in the host. Then the third is the virulence, the ability to cause severe disease in the host. Then lastly is the immunogenicity. It is the ability to induce an immune response in the host. Now let's go to the infectious disease terms. The infectious dose, it is the number of organisms needed to successfully infect. Then the latent period, it is the exposure to infectiousness interval. The incubation period, it is an interval from exposure to clinical symptoms. Then the infectious period, it's an interval during which host can transmit infection. Reproductive rate, the ability of an agent to spread in populations. The virulence, pathogenicity, and immunogenicity, I already discussed it. Then the outbreak is a limited spread. Then endemic is usually present. Then steady prevalence. Then the epidemic is a rapid spread. And the last is pandemic. It occurs across countries and in multiple populations. Here are some of the important terms. This term is used in the study of infectious diseases. Now let's go to the modes of transmissions. The direct and indirect transmission. Indirect transmission, this involves the droplet, aerosol, and skin to skin. In indirect, this includes the fomites, vectors, food and water, and intermediate host. So now this is the measures of disease occurrence. Now let's talk about the clinical responses to infection by an agent. In apparent infection, no clinical symptoms generated. The carrier state, usually no clinical symptoms but host can transmit infection for long periods. Then, the clinical symptoms. This includes the mild disease, severe disease, residual impairment, and death. Now, let's identify those classifications of infectious agents. One of these classifications is the bacteria. These survive on appropriate media, stain, gram-positive or negative. Then, the viruses, obligate intracellular parasite which only replicate intracellularly. Next is the fungi, non-motile, filamentous branching strands of connected cell. Another is metazoa. These are multicellular animals which a complicated life cycle often involving several hosts. The protozoa, it is a single-cell organism with a well-defined nucleus. Then the rickettsia, it's a very small bacteria spread by ticks. Then the prions, it is a unique protein lacking genetic molecules. Lastly is the chlamydia. It is a bacteria lacking cell walls. Now let's go to the microbiological classification of infectious diseases. Viruses are acellular, obligate, intracellular organisms. The complete infectious virus is termed a virion. The virion consists of the specific nucleic acid surrounded by a protein coat or a capsid. Some viruses are enveloped, which means that they possess a lipoprotein coat that surrounds the capsid and is acquired from infected host cell membrane. So viruses that lack an envelope are naked. Viruses are typically classified by genetic material, strandedness, size and shape of the capsid, and whether it's enveloped or non-enveloped, then the method of replication. In this structure, you can see about a non-enveloped and the enveloped one. So, viruses entry into the host cell with an envelope. All fungi are chemoheterotrophs. Pathogenic fungi have two forms, dies and molds. Some fungi are dimorphic. So molds grow as a filamentous branching strands of connected cell known as hyphae. Types of parasites. So one of these is the protozoa. It is a single-celled microscopic organism that can perform all necessary function of metabolism and reproduction. Some protozoa are free-living, while others parasitize other organisms for other nutrients and life cycle. Another parasite is the helminths, a large, multicellular organism that is generally visible to the naked eye in its adult stage. So helminths can be free-living or parasitic. Another is the prions. They are abnormal, transmissible agents that are able to induce abnormal folding of normal cellular prion proteins in the brain, leading to brain damage and a characteristic sign and symptoms of the disease. So prion disease are usually rapidly progressive and always fatal. So that's how all those organisms causes a disease. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.